Thank you. Well, hello. Welcome all to RPG with DBJ. This week we are talking about a little bit of blessings, but a lot of curses. The thing that when violated, when proclamated, when disseminated, it is the curse. It is the words that come out of our mouths and alter the courses of history. It is the violations that punish us all. And for all of you out there, you creatives, community, kind folks, we are going to talk about this entire week. Now, today is Hump Day. It is World Building Wednesday. And on World Building Wednesday, we kind of started world building Monday and Tuesday as well, which happens to be our thing, right? We love ourselves, some squirrels. What? Squirrel. And we get ourselves a little distracted, which is a good thing because we're just sitting around sharing some digital pizza. Also, the classmates and collegiates over at Fantasy Grounds College are here as well on the Discord. Those of you out there who are brand new, you may join in either method here on YouTube, going live, or joining Fantasy Grounds College. Join the Discord and go over to the slider on the left, slide down to the boiler room, and join us there during the show. Now, the title of the show, it's like, I raise my fists and curse thee. And I'm just imagining starting off in the world building, this idea that it's something we brought up earlier, but I kind of wanted to dive into it about, curse words, right? Cursing people, being placed on your knees in front of the town square and about to get your throat slit. And you look around and like, if you kill me, I will come back and haunt you, you mother, it's that raw power that comes up inside of us. And in our tabletop role-playing games, sometimes that is given actual powers, actual magic. And sometimes just the act of wishing it comes true. And of course, earlier we talked about divine intervention and the classic wish. What do you wish for? And the bad things that come about from that. And of course, there is, this ephemeral, kind of hard to define ability to curse things. For example, a quote from Ahab, posted in by Tesla Ranger over on the Discord, goes to say, was it Moby Dick? Yeah, towards thee I roll, thou all-destroying but unconquering whale. To the last I grapple with thee. From heart's hell I stab at thee. For hate's sake I spit my last breath at thee. Sink all coffins, all hearses to one common pool. And since neither can be mine, let me then tow to pieces, while still chasing thee, though tied to thee, thou damned well. Thus I give up the spear. And I had to add a little drama in there. Much of these accursed proclamations that are done by individuals, sometimes we say, like, I curse you. And of course, brought into modern day, there are curse words. Now, of course, it seems like a lot of our curse words are really replacements for exclamation points. I stubbed my toe, exclamation point. There's videos of people pushing like 6-layer cakes in weddings and ends up getting out of their hand, or flipping over because some of the carpet has a ripple in it and it falls over, and exclamation point, right? So walking in on a loved one and you thought they were loyal to you and they're intimate with someone else, and exclamation point. So, but if we start to rewind a little bit about some of those curses and those curse words, we can start to uncover some of the origins of that. And we're getting into world building. Just follow me on this thread here. Let's deep dive a little bit, that the very flowery language of like Ahab or Caesar, or much of Shakespearean language, where some of these ain't writers in our great past have been able to describe the anger and the turmoil and the vitriol of their words, and trying to spit them out into the world so that in some small part they're able to get some sort of revenge, or some accounting for their life, that their life has had meaning up until this point, to to spit in the face of your aggressors, or your the people who have captured you, to say, maybe my life is at an end, the people around me, their lives are at ends, and I have no recourse, I have nothing left but my voice, and spit that out into the world. Well, since we're talking about World Building Wednesday, imagine a world. Yeah, yeah, James, like, I cursed thee. Like, I'm so sorry. Yeah, it's a Deadpool t-shirt. Um, sometimes it is as if these words are spoken and there is no taking them back. It is as if to say to the world, I want things to change and I don't care about the end result. Like, we talked about this yesterday in on the Discord Tuesday, that far more often than not, a curse is made and it has ramifications for generations. It spreads well beyond the person raising their fist to the gods and wanting to punish them for what they've done, or send that anger out and lashing it out. So I contend to you that in a world like this, where using maybe the tropes from classic Dungeons and Dragons and other medieval styled games, that the people may live in a world where that sacrifice, that ability to it's the grenade everyone carries with them in some form of another. It's the one thing that can change the way the divine and the fiendish creatures of the world and the blessed angels of the world can be driven back. And it would be as if someone were to tell you that, oh, we have lawmakers and our laws are completely fair. The only thing that it costs you is your life, right? Imagine how many people would step forward and say, I'll never see the end results of what I wish for, but I wish it to be true. And I want my words to become reality. Ignoring the fact that, not thinking of the ramifications of what they might do. And I imagine this world would almost be like a power word type of setting. Much like there's magics and things where you learn someone's true name, or you learn the true name of objects and people and actual individuals. And once you learn their true name, you have power over them. Imagine these curses performed by people, that once they start that you know the again bringing up the old lady being brought before the evil horde that has decimated the village, and she's brought to her knees in front and like, do you have any last words? And this woman starts to speak, and something like preternatural starts happening. There's a power that starts swirling around everyone, even if this woman had no, maybe people suspected, like, is she an oracle or some kind of like witch doctor or mind reader, soothsayer or something? But even if not, maybe she just brings upon the people that are ravaging her village some kind of punishment to them. And when she starts talking, they understand that, could they strike her down? Maybe, but maybe there's a power that's preventing them from doing so, just for her to get her last words out before they slay her and kill her. And then everyone may look around at themselves and wonder, what has she done? Like what kind of changes have been wrought? Now, in this kind of world, I'm thinking that there might be a history, maybe a litany of these curses brought out into the world and have completely affected the landscape, the weather, the, the the literal biology of the world. People cursed to become monstrous beasts and creatures. Like we brought that up before. Beauty and the Beast and vampires, and classically even going so far as Frankenstein's monster, someone who delving into knowledge that was not meant to be delved in, and the hubris and the arrogance of humanity in terms of science and magic and such. Yeah, dead man, I see. We're not here to make fun of you. We'll hand you a tissue just for a short time, because you always bring the knowledge. Now, I think you could really get away with doing some really bizarre world building without explaining why, because maybe the mystery of your world involving these blessed individuals and locations and accursed locations could be brought about because of someone's curse. Meaning, someone could be walking through general woodlands. It's nice. You hear birds and such, and you could literally come across maybe a delineation in the ground, and there's nothing but, like, I don't know, black sand in a perfect circle that stretches for miles, and you're just like, wait, what? And it could be that someone somewhere, some foul thing happened. Maybe an evil person called upon a dark power and begged them to strike down the goodly crusaders that were trying to stop them. Or it could go the other direction, that a goodly person was being assaulted or ravaged by people they perceived as evil and vile, and struck out at them. So you could have a world in which things just do not operate the way they should. A forest that with a perfectly round clearing in it of black sand, and where nothing lives, including animals. Animals just do not even go near it. They understand how blackened the area is. And you could do that with everything, floating lands and great creatures brought from the nether worlds and such into your setting. And the exploration of that world may uncover these curses. And it might be that the world is teetering on a precipice. It's kind of like on a razor's edge of collapse, because the first person to raise their fist to the gods and curse them, and send the gods reeling back, or drawing upon the power of one of the deities, and one of the deities is sitting back rubbing their hands like, finally someone called out to me, great, I get to do my thing, and Zeus or Thor, so it was like, oh cool, I get to pull one of my lightning bolts. Let me go pick my special one. Ooh, the nice big fat one right there. Shoo, and throws it down to the earth. That might be how that someone calls upon the gods, or even the gods might even stand back, as if to say, like, oh no, how are we going to tell humanity that they can't do this? Like, they have that one power against us. If they're willing to sacrifice themselves, they can cast us out or undo our machinations. Like, we've got to stop. Maybe the gods did walk the earth at one point amongst mortals, and someone cast them out and literally shattered the stones that led up to, like, Mount Olympus or something of that nature. You could really, really personify some of those things, and the PCs may grow up in a world where curses upon curses are stacked on each other, to the point where we if someone does this once, twice, three more times, this will be post-apocalyptic, and I can imagine a post-apocalyptic styled setting in which maybe the way people speak to each other is heavily monitored. The words people choose are of a value far beyond gold or prestige, so that there may even be clothing styles and behaviors attached to maybe covering one's mouth, wearing a scarf over one's mouth, or being arrested and having like a metal, like a chastity belt for the face, like a metal thing that just like wraps around the lower face and the neck and such, with a big giant lock on it to shut you up. Or there may be poisons or potions that people drink that can temporarily or even permanently take away someone's voice, by the upper echelons of the law and politics. There may even be locations, like specific locations in the home or in major cities or out in the wild, where someone can go there to speak all the things they need to speak before coming back and taking that vow of silence for another 8 months, whatnot. Everyone walking around with clay tablets or chalk or something, writing their words and deeds down on paper because they're afraid to say those words. That may be something as well. Not necessarily a quiet place where just making a simple noise will have these bestial creatures run out of the woods and kill you. But you could kind of pull on that. You could pull on those strings. We've talked about that during our aberrants and mind flayers series for the week, but you may be able to talk to consider that there may even be factions in the world who recruit those who, not like metachlorians, but their words bring with it power, something far above a bardic things, not just charismatic, but the words they say carry with it a weight. And there could be a faction of proctors or some such going around finding these individuals and recruiting them to their side. Maybe one day hoping to find someone, or there could even be a it's been predicted that there will be someone whose very words bring about instant change, almost someone who speaks a wish into reality by their very conversations. They wish an apple and it comes true, and they wish you to be gone and you disappear in a puff of smoke. And that in and of itself might be a power that others draw upon. Could you imagine a world where there are very few sorceress type people born with the power to take our language and turn it into power incarnate, and there are wizards who are learning to almost grasp those words out of the air and use it to learn how to study their art. So you could make wizard origins from sorceress origins, from the gifted are being used or learn from would be more mild, like, oh, I want to learn how you do that, to those being trapped in it and being locked away in towers or in dungeons or something, or being forced to give up their words and trying to keep silent, but there are those who are trying to steal their words from them and then take those words and use them out into the world. And again, the uncovering of true names may not be in and of itself the only goal. It could be the uncovering of true names and then finding the power to say those true names, and suffering very little on the tail end, because we we know that curses are like we brought up before, like in Wiccan, the trifold punishment. It's the, harm me and I will come avenge these, sevenfold, like the group. um, it is the power of bringing about to curse someone else, and understanding that if you draw this power, that you too, you will suffer three times the effect that you cause. So if you decide to, there's a noble lineage, and every one of their family members you perceive to be a vile and evil, and they're oppressing the people, and I'm going to stand before them and cast them out, and I'm going to punish every one of them and their entire bloodline. And then you realize, ooh, shoot, maybe I shouldn't have said that. I've learned their true name, I got the power, but I'm going to be affected by this, sevenfold or whatnot. And so this desire to find true names, and maybe to draw those words back from whence they've came, to silence the words, may be the goal in this new world where silence is a virtue. And um, the punishment of the world may not be just putting people in dungeons and locking them away, but lock them into a dungeon of complete silence, or at least locking them away where no one can hear them. No one can hear their words, including the world and the things they say. Now, when world building, sometimes we have to think about, like, what adventures would they go on? What adversaries would they have? What kinds of missions? What drives the PCs forward? If they stay still, if they go to the tavern and put their feet up, is the adventure going to follow them? So it's also possible that the player characters may have no relationship to these curses at all. Their power doesn't come from it. They are the rare few that exist in this world. And it could be maybe the curses are trying to come back home. The restless spirits that are severely trying to reconnect to their loved ones, albeit, maybe brutally. It's the werewolf curse, and the people, infected by lycanthropy, who are desperately trying to find a cure. And in this world, maybe the player characters aren't trying to, draw their sword and eliminate the problem, which, let's be honest, it is a commonality amongst tabletop role-playing games, and you do want your players to relatively regularly open up a can of whoop ass. But it could be that they are on a mission to undo the wrongs of the people that came before them. Maybe there is a dead not city state, but the people that came before them, much like the sunken city of Atlantis. There might be an empire that fell, and this empire, by simply through words without deeds, they created this vast empire, and now they're gone because of their hubris, their arrogance. They spoke things into being, and it became true. And then when you disagree with someone else, and both of you have the ability to shape the world in your own image, simply by your proclamations, this is the outcome. And the player characters may be on a longer mission to right the world back to the way it was. And much like magic itself could be a curse upon the world. The classic, I'm going to use a fireball, and that fireball is making it easier for a living flame to come to the world, for volcanoes to begin growing and erupting, for heat waves to start spreading. Much like magic to the world, maybe the PCs are the innocent farm boy, and the young the young bar wench or something, and they decide to go. They realize that there is a way to literally excise magic from the world, which in many ways would make them an enemy of everyone, every single deity, every fiend, every wizard, every paladin who stands before people and declaring their oath. Like that power, with power comes corruption, and with absolute power comes, um, you know, absolute corruption. And those individuals won't want to give that up. So the PCs might be on a mission to literally get rid of all magic ever. And that would be pretty interesting, turning this pseudo medieval world into what may eventually become our Earth, our society. Um, Someone's like, I'm going to summon a planetoid and just eliminate all of society because you guys suck. And yeah, a small moon smashes into the planet, and 8 million years later, life starts again or something. Um, that could be both a mission for the PCs to accomplish or to prevent from happening as well, especially if they find out that someone is trying to stitch together a huge series of words and proclamations together to uncover, to bring about a major change. And if we, much like the quote spoken by Ahab, the fist in the air spoken by some of your most dastard villains and some of your most pious heroes in our intellectual properties, maybe, just maybe, the player characters could find these things, much like uncovering like riddles or poems or such, and you could kind of like copy and paste them into your like virtual tabletop and hand them out as little boons and rewards, and the player characters might be able to either speak those words aloud as part of the game world or stitch together like, why was this person so intent on bringing this about. um, Also, the people who made the curse in the first place might be the progenitors of some of your classic adversaries in the world. The person who raised their fist is now a lich. I hear you, dead man. Yeah, always with the sarcasm there, man. Um, there's the idea that the individuals, the Ahab of the world who curses the whale that he's hunting down and throws down the spear, might become a kraken themselves, or we've talked about like lycanthropy, like someone, or the classic Dracula, based off of Vlad the Impaler, who throws their fist at God and says, I curse you for not, I don't know, help me slay my enemies or and whatnot. It's the Cain who, kills his brother Abel and curses God, but you told me to sacrifice that which I loved, and then gets punished, walking around with the mark of vampirism, i.e., from the origin of vampires, from Vampires the Masquerade, right? Those might be the evils upon the world, the ones who are accursed, and the PCs might be members of the blessed regime, the crusaders of the world, going in and trying to right the wrongs, at least as far as the side effects, the tailing end of these curses. And sure, the world has tens of thousands of vampires, but if we can find the very first vampire, if we can find Dracula or whoever it is, Vlad, Strahd, based on Vlad and Dracula. But if we can find Strahd and cure this person, bring their humanity back, if we can undo the curse if we can get them to realize that, uh, to unspeak their curse, might be a way to alleviate the world of yet one more evil. And I think you can have some fun with it. Now, mind you, uh, uh, part of me's talking out the side of my neck with this, right? It's like, I'm talking out of my ass because uh, the things I'm saying don't really have too many rules to them. You're really going to have your players embrace this. I mean, if you do a world building and there's a great sense of not realism, but a sense of this is how the world works and you are in it and your players understand how the world works, you can have some fun with it. Your issue might be if your role-playing game only rewards walking up to something and hitting it with a sword or blasting it with a spell. You may have some trouble there. In 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, there are optional rules in Dungeon Master's Guide. You could kind of reskin honor and renown, maybe to account for the individuals who are either on a mission to undo these curses and legacies, or the opposite, to bring about a change as they go about their lives. So that is also other than gold and magic items, you can award people boons, temporary bonuses or magic, or just come up with your own, like, oh, I'm not going to give you a +1 sword, but I will say that your boon may be when you grab upon your sword and speak the words of the ancients, that your sword alights on fire. It doesn't matter what sword you grab. It's just you have the ability to do this for a certain amount of time, or with a certain weapon, or within a certain region or something. And lastly, you could award your players these curses set aloud that change the world and draw from them power. So you could pull them from historical sources, maybe, or have your players come up with some. Or if you're like the people who always participate in the show here, there's a lot of creative people who could come up with many poetic styled old English Shakespearean speech to come up with some of these ancient curses that are yelled out into the ether, and give those to the player characters, and maybe speaking them aloud causes some kinds of effects, whether it's almost like reading a scroll aloud. Maybe it makes normal animals flee from you. Maybe it can paralyze someone and make their nose and ears bleed and eyes or something. Scott, what's going on? It's been a little while. It's been a while since Scott's been in the chat. It's been a while. Anyway, so yeah, sorry, squirrel. So those, I think, in terms of world building in that sense, yeah, yeah. There's probably a song about that one as well. Wow, I really got squirreled on that one. So we're talking about world building and world building with curses. Now, the other part of curses, in terms of, I heavily referenced like curse words, like sending out your curses into the world and changing things. But some of these curses come about because of violations of specific tenets, meaning someone tells you don't go into the dark wood. Anyone who enters the dark wood will visit upon them, foul visitations for 7 days hence, and don't uncover the tomb. Lots of warnings. Curses tend to have lots of warnings, and written on strips of paper or ancient texts or wooden signs that have rotted away after centuries, or carved into the stone archway of an ancient tomb that was uncovered in the desert, whatnot. So the other method of including curses into the world is simply violating the tenet. It's the fey creatures in the wondrous wood that say, if you want to come into our wood, you must bring with you exactly 13 pastries and place them upon, the flat rock or something, and someone's like, I'm not pastries. I'll eat them. I'm not leaving them outside. I'm going to go into the wood, and then of course hilarity ensues, i.e. death and pain and destruction. But that is extremely common trope. The ancient tomb written on the outside of it, a big danger sign, right? More flowery language, let's say, but death and destruction will follow all who enter, for thee and them, whatever the case may be. And of course, the PCs are like, whatever, give me a crowbar. I'm breaking in and stealing some stuff. They're keeping me away from my experience points, right? So that's also a possibility where curses are like time bombs. They are like ticking time bombs. Nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. It's like a boiling pot of water, and someone comes along and just like tips it over just a little bit. Someone's just like, don't, everyone's like, please don't go into the dark woods. Why? Because 5 generations, our people, there was a great war, and our people did battle with the things that live in the dark woods. You are not allowed to go out into the dark woods. And, kids on bikes are just like, I don't care. There's got to be something in there. Curiosity. Let's go into the dark woods and see what's there. Boom. And then all of a sudden, something comes out of the dark woods and start ravaging people. And the clue, the inciting event that might get the players involved might be someone else did the thing. Someone else violated the tenets. And the fountain in the main square of the city has been there for years and years and years, and everyone's taken a copper coin and made a wish and thrown it into the pool. But carved into the base of the fountain is something about, all who, throw a coin in here will have good luck, but to remove one will bring about, danger to you and yours and whatnot. And someone somewhere was desperate enough and scooped up a bunch of coins and ran off. And the city is like, someone's got to get those coins back. And everyone's like, oh no. And the PCs are like, what? It's just, I've got 18 coins in my pocket. I'll just replace them. And they're like, no. Those coins are attached to wishes. And the stealing those coins means not only will those wishes not come true, but their dark reflection will be about, and we've got to get the coins back, those specific coins. And the PCs are, I don't get it, until someone's dark wish gets twisted and, goes out into the world or something. So that might be the inciting event where others are breaking them, where there's been enough generations that people are like, that's not going to happen. Not to me, not to anybody. Has anyone ever seen an Efreet, come out of the nether pits and strike people down? No. So I think they were just making it up. It's a wives' tale. As they break a mirror and walk under a ladder, stepping on a crack and spilling salt all at the same time, right? Which a lot of the wives' tale things that we've heard of are kind of curses in disguise. Much like fairy tales and mythology and history without context, you could, especially if you really want to dive deep into using the Fae. We did a week series on using the Fae and talked about those things where seeing a black cat might be a bad omen. The sprinkling of salt, the dangling of a dream catcher in the window, the marking of a door with blood. Yes, I'm pulling some biblical and maybe some other religious references. I don't mean to offend those who hold them in high regard, but we are talking tabletop RPGs and using real world examples as something to pull from for our flavor, for some energy. And so in the world, there may be people who are doing lots of the normal actions of the people in the world may be pulling behaviors from our real world and pulling them into the world and not understanding the context until the PCs uncover it. So maybe a small Buddha-like statue sits in front of places of importance. Everyone who walks inside rubs the tummy or the head of the statue, whether it doesn't have to be a Buddha. It could be a bull, an eagle, a simple 3-foot monolithic kind of thing. It could be any number of things. It could be holy water placed in a bowl, and as people go in, they wash their hands or mark their chests, or 3 coins dangle above the door. When they get before the door, they pause 3 seconds, or what have the case might be. They may tap the back of their hand 3 times before entering. PCs are like, what? Why is everyone doing that? I don't understand. Why has everyone got a scarf around their face and refuses to talk to me unless in a specified room marked with a blue paint around the doorway? Like, why? I don't understand. And little by little, the world uncovers bits and pieces of evidence about itself, and through violating those rules of how people are supposed to act in the world, there are creatures out there who listen to our words and deeds, and speaking them may come true for good or bad, mostly for bad. We can only say what we feel and think inside of a room marked with this blue paint, because the proctors have blessed it, or given to it a power to silence our world out into the greater realm or something, and so on and so forth, right? People may ask the strangers that come into town, "Excuse me, stranger, have you seen a wingless bird, walk past you?" And you're like, "Was it purple with like a long tail, almost a serpent or rat-like tail?" "Yeah, I saw one of those." And they're like, the intake of breath, like, "You saw that? Oh no, come with me. You must stand by the coins and wish upon the coins 3 times and toss them into the fountain." And the PCs are like, "I'm busy. I want to get something to eat and go to the blacksmith because I've got murder hoboing to do. I don't have time for this." But maybe the evidence might be to the PCs that they are causing their own dismay. They're causing their own. It's like every time they violate one of these things, yet one more destruction befalls them. More enemies come after them. More people around them are jealous. More bad things fall apart, rot away, become destroyed. Bad weather. Their money loses value. They can't find a place to sleep. It might start out as very minor and then start to grow and grow until the PCs are like, "Maybe we should have listened the first time." And someone else like, "I'm 6th level. I don't care now. I'm just going to fight things. I'm going to hit it with my sword again." And everyone's like, "Oh," face palm. Like, "Please don't do that. Please stop." So yeah, I imagine in this world of the blessed and the accursed, that the player characters might be the ones who are either causing the issues, or those issues are bumping into the player characters for good or bad. For good, players are like, "Yeah, my character's cool because I found out about these power words, and now the words I speak, charm each and every individual." And maybe the barbarian is like, "There is a blood that courses inside of me. I am that much closer to those infected with lycanthropic tendencies. I have far more control, but my people don't." And now, if you want to go down the fairy tale realm, I suppose you could start to reskin a lot of the creatures and even player characters by extrapolating out from the classic fairy tales and turning some of the player character options into things that we've known in fairy tales. Hey, my character is a sorcerer because I've got a fairy godmother wand that was tapped on my forehead, and now I have magic powers or something. Uh, you know, Beauty and the Beast. My barbarian is, I'm reskinning my barbarian, and I grow, fur, and I've got a low charisma. My character looks bestial and such, and that's how I just describe what I can do. Maybe a druidic character kind of considers himself to be very bestial and such, and they just want to. Maybe they pick a noble background and they want to come back into the noble regions and be embraced by their yeah, be embraced by their loved ones. Yeah, Dead Man the Storyteller saying like Little Red Riding Hood being a werewolf. Yeah, there's plenty of dark fairy tales, either by themselves or the Brothers Grimm stories, and turning them into their dark mirrors. And Snow White and the Seven Dwarves, where Snow White has, I don't know, enslaved the seven dwarves that are working for her, out to kill or steal the secrets of the old hag who put to sleep her prince, and wants to use that magic to put other people into stasis and maybe wake up her prince, who's really a lich or something like that. Like you could go down some dark paths where, yeah, instead of a frog, maybe the person, the prince becoming a frog and needing to get a kiss by their loved one. Maybe that frog instead is a mind flayer inside of a stasis chamber, and the princess is really a succubus or something. Yeah, any number of those things could be happening, and you could kind of do a dark twist on the curse theme in terms of many of those creatures in your world. And it could be the player characters began their careers with some sort of lesson, because a lot of these, especially with fairy tales and Brothers Grimm and some of these other tales, a lot of them were lessons given to children and took place during a time when there was a lot of death between plague and types of plagues and diseases and such. So it could be the player characters began their careers because of arrogance. The bard character's like, oh, I'm the most beautiful and entertaining person I know. No one's better than me. And the gods are like, huh, you say that now. Let me come down to these clouds and teach you a little thing or three, right? And so maybe that character was struck ugly and must cover their face. And although their words drip like honey, and everyone, when it listens to them, no one can look upon this person's face. And they're trying to undo the smack to the face from one of the gods or something. Like, yeah, remember that thing where if you make a funny face and you get slapped on your back, it stays that way? Yeah, that's a true thing, one of the gods said. So yes, yeah, eating that meal with your elbows on the table, watch what happens. Running with scissors, leaving a refrigerator door open, go ahead and do that. Let's see what happens when at the end result, as a big black ooze or green slime or something comes out of the refrigerator because you left it open and spoiled the food or something. But I digress. The idea of someone somewhere, maybe even the player characters themselves, began the game where they're there with someone who raises their fist into the sky and curses the world for all the things that have been done to them. And as someone tries to get close to them, and someone wants to assassinate them with an arrow or slice their throat, like, please don't, no. And they're standing on the cliffside, looking down upon the docks of the city and seeing the fires and the dead people left in the streets and the people strung up on poles, tortured, their intestines from them. And they're like, the gods, you've ignored us. You've let our enemies destroy our town and ravage our people. I beseech thee, since you have not helped us, I curse you. I want to see you fall. I want, may the release of my blood bring about a change. And everyone's like, please don't do that. You're going to bring upon the power of the pantheon to us. And maybe that person just, in their dying breath, they go to say something, and all of a sudden on their last word, their voice gets snuffed out and their throat clenches. Maybe it's almost as if acid destroyed it from the inside out, and they sit and vomit up, and their jaw starts to fall off, and they're just like sitting there coughing and suffering. And then the world changes, and the gods come down from the sky, and you know, punish people like they do, because for fun or something. James Lindell says, the guy standing on the cliff was the one who did it all too. Yeah, maybe they brought about this change in the world, and all of a sudden, the world's knocked off of its axis. Instead of normal rain and storms, maybe there's like necrotic lightning that's black, and instead of rain, it's like acid. The oceans, there are no peaceful oceans. Maybe every time someone sails across the ocean, there's always smashers smashing into the docks from now on. Maybe the oceans it's like a black and violet, and it's dark. You can't see into it. It's almost like a thick sludge, and new style ships must be used to sail these oceans, and it's filled with whirlpools and elementals, water elementals just wanting to smash ships to against the shoreline and such. And maybe lifespans shorten, and people are walking around hooded and such, because of disease has become rampant and infected everyone because of this one individual, this one person who the gods have said, whatever happens, honor us, otherwise we're going to come down and wreck shop. And maybe in this world, that is the weakness of the gods themselves. The pantheon has stepped upon the earth to punish them, kind of in their own arrogance, not realizing like, we can't go back home. Ooh, ow. And so maybe the gods themselves, although their thrones remain in their upper echelon, the gods themselves walk the earth, and they represent all of our classic big bads, right? They become the dragons, the liches, the vampire lords of the world. They become the Tarask. Come on, guys, give me some other high-level kick-ass creatures. They become the fiends and angels that are in the world, causing harm to everyone. And they're pissed off now, too. This petty mortal made me come down here, even though, the gods made their own decision, right? They're blaming humanity. Like, like, you called me, you did this to the world. And, lo and behold, the PCs are trying to bring about the paradise that was Earth, that the pantheon of gods. And the pantheon could be like 5, 12, 18, maybe one per level, 20 of them. James Lindell says mix of the shadow realm and the prime. Hell yeah. Maybe this one person, the PCs are there when this one person does this thing where the membrane between the outer realms, you don't need magic to go there. It's already here. The shadow realm, yeah, it's around the corner. The elemental plane of fire, yeah, it happens all the time. It's here. You can go there. You can visit those places. The abyss and the 9 hells, all you need to do is just walk, and you walk there long enough and you'll get there. Yeah. The Fey realm in your bedroom, right under the bed. Hell yeah. And maybe the only way to keep these things at bay, much like saying your prayers before you go to bed, maybe there are certain words spoken in a certain pattern, like a poem, like a pledge. Maybe there are words spoken to keep these things at bay, at least for a little bit, to keep the fey creatures from hiding under the bed or in the closet. When you sleep, everyone gets together before they blow the candles out, and now I lay me down to sleep. I pray to the gods, my soul, let me keep it, please. Don't hurt me. Don't snatch me away. And maybe there are those who are forgetting to do these things. to throw the salt over the shoulder, to hang their dream catcher in the window, to rub the Buddha's stomach, to alight the incense, to not walk under the ladder, or to cross their chests in whatever holy symbol there is after they break a mirror, right? Maybe there are people who are stopping these, who are not doing these things any longer. And anything from evil spirits to shadow demons to angelic beings are walking the very streets of the world in its minor forms, and then expanding outwards. Maybe you reskin will-o-wisps. Instead of them being evil, they are residual agents of the angelic pantheon, that godling that has come to Earth. And maybe a planetar is only as powerful as the deity that has fallen to this world, and they're so pissed off and annoyed by being stuck on Earth for a millennia, just because, well, the prospect of being stuck on Earth for a millennia because of this person who cursed them and brought them to Earth. Maybe these will-o-wisps, call it something else, rename it, reskin it a little bit. Maybe they float around in these cities, forcing people to be pious against their will. You will honor, the God of justice, or else. And when people are having conversations with each other, they all of a sudden get on their best behavior as they're eating, as these floating orbs float around them and kind of hover and sit still. And maybe there's that one person who's like, everyone like kind of stops in their tracks and is like looking at it, giving these little will-o-wisps like the side eye, like, don't look at me, don't, okay, don't, please don't look at me. And all of a sudden it's like the will-o-wisp strikes that person down, and you see, I don't know, radiant energy course through their body. You can almost see the light coming from inside of them as you see their heart and skeletal. Their skin becomes like translucent as they burn from the insides out, and then fall to the ground in a bloody meat sack with some bones sticking out of it. And the person's like screaming like, I didn't mean it. I didn't mean to curse that woman. She didn't put enough sugar in the pastries and it tasted terrible. Don't, please. And all of a sudden it's like bang, and everyone's like, I'm going to leave now. Ignore me, blah, blah, blah. You could turn some of these things pretty dark. Well, anyway, guess what? We hit the hour mark. At this point, usually I say goodbye to the Heraldrix, my wife. As we end our live stream, I will be in the Discord for a little bit after this, the Discord over at Fantasy Grounds College. Although for this channel, and I have to say that Jader7777, who's created the Discord channel for the RPG with DBJ YouTube channel, I really appreciate that. And I do dip and dab out of there, so you guys who are using that channel for your own purposes, yeah, I lurk a little bit. Also, guys, just remember, you will see that the SoundCloud account is loading more and more of these episodes as an audio file, so you will be able to take part in listening to those as a podcast. Both our current episodes and many of those in the past will be uploaded into SoundCloud. So if you prefer to listen in as an audio, as a podcast, you can do that as well. If you're unable to take part in these live streams. But anyway, guys, I want to thank everyone here for participating. Thank you very much. Yeah, James Liddell. Yes, strike me down. I can feel your hate. Right? That's exactly how it works. Well, anyway, guys, have a great one. I'll see you later. Thanks. Bye. Good day. Good day, all.